So I am now recording, and welcome to our session. We have with us Natasha Bhalla. She is a health and wellness coach, and she can be found on Instagram at tashvibe13, as you can see on the slide next to her. And this session is the one where you finally learn to manage stress. And Natasha is going to show us proven techniques to calm yourself, focus a little better, and manage daily stress and anxiety. And like I said, if you have any questions, you can write it in the chat and I will help get the questions to Natasha if she's talking, or feel free to unmute yourself and make this as engaging and interactive as you want. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Natasha.
Thank you so much, Sandy, and hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. If for some reason, well, Sandy, obviously you will tell me, but if you can't hear me or something, let me know because I'm just a little bit nervous about my sound. But thank you for being with me. As Sandy mentioned, I am a health and wellness coach, and I work with individuals who want to improve their health and wellness naturally through nutrition, stress management, and detox. So I'm really excited to be with you guys here today. And as you know, and as Sandy mentioned, we're going to be talking about stress, how to prevent it, and if you're in a situation where you're feeling stressed, how to just bring that stress level down a little bit. So we're going to have some tips and techniques that we're going to talk about, and then towards the end of the presentation, we're actually going to do a couple of exercises together. We're going to do a breathing technique together, as well as a lymph, head and neck massage, which most people really enjoy doing because it feels really good. So obviously everyone has felt stressed at some time or another, and especially with this pandemic, I think stress is just, people are feeling really just wired constantly, worried constantly, and that sort of thing. So first, I just want to talk about what stress feels like, because it can feel different for everyone. And sometimes you may be feeling stress, but you may not realize that it's actually stress. So a feeling of stress is a nagging feeling, typically of worry, nervousness, unease, and it's typically about an imminent event or just something that has an uncertain outcome. So if you have children, for example, these days during this pandemic, I'm sure a lot of you are stressed and nervous about your children going to school, dealing with work and the schooling for the kids and that sort of thing. So obviously all of these things are very stressful. It's really important for us to reduce stress. And that's because when we are stressed, our bodies go into a fight or flight mode. And when our bodies are in fight or flight mode, they can't heal and they can't fight off things like illness, diseases, germs. So right now during COVID, obviously you want your body in the best place possible. And you want to be out of that fight or flight mode so that your body can fight those germs off, so that it can fight disease and things like that. So some easy ways to prevent anxiety and stress include getting at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. And I know that may sound a lot to some, especially these days, because you're at home and you're taking care of the kids and doing God knows how many other things. But sleep is really, really important. Without proper sleep, our cells and our bodies don't heal, they don't regenerate, and they can't fight off illness and disease. So making sure that you're getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep should be really a priority for you. In addition, you can drink more water. Water is really important, especially these days, because water hydrates you, obviously, and it also moisturizes and hydrates your mucous membranes. That's important to fight off illness as well. When you're drinking water throughout the day, your body gets less fatigued. You tend to have more energy, and it reduces any stress on our organs, because once we're even the slightest bit dehydrated, our bodies feel stressed. So we obviously don't want to do that. Another thing we can do is avoid alcohol or limit alcohol. And I know a lot of you probably hate me for saying that, but alcohol is actually a poison, right? It's a poison for our organs, and our liver has to go through the process of detoxing that alcohol. So that creates stress on the body as well. So anytime you're, let's say, going through the day and you don't feel like you have something happening or something that you're stressed about, but your body feels off, it could be any of these things going on. Maybe you didn't get proper sleep the night before. Maybe you aren't drinking enough water. Maybe you had one too many drinks last night and your body is still detoxing. And that's causing stress in your body, which may cause some unease, some anxiousness in your mind. So limiting the alcohol is really important as well. Also, stay away from junk and processed food. Junk and processed food that come in packages like chips, cookies, and that sort of thing, they often have chemicals and dyes that our bodies and our systems are not able to properly ingest and digest. So when you're having something with dyes and all these sorts of things in it, again, it stresses our body. So you want to eat whole foods as much as possible. And whole foods are things that do not come in packages, like fruits and vegetables. The more vegetables you eat, actually, the more easy it will be for your liver and your other organs to detox and to be stress-free. So eating whole foods is really important as well. And then of course, everyone knows the benefits of exercising. Exercising is really important. If you can get at least 30 minutes of exercise a day, that's great because that will also reduce stress and keep your body in a place where it's better able to manage stress. And guys, please feel free to ask questions like Sandy said earlier, or give me any feedback. If you have any tips of your own on how to de-stress, please add them here. I don't like to keep talking and talking, so feel free to interact with me during the session, please. So the next thing we're going to discuss are tips to reduce stress. So let's say that you're in a situation and there is something that is stressing you out. You go to the grocery store and you see people without masks all around you, or you have an argument with your partner. Something that is happening right at that moment, you need to have some tools in your toolbox in order to be able to fight off that stress and manage that stress. So the first thing you want to do is learn what triggers you. Become aware of what kind of things really bother you and get under your skin. For me, for example, it's watching the news. I can only watch maybe 15 minutes of news at a time before it starts upsetting me and stressing me out. So I try to make sure that I only watch that certain amount of the news. And then you can do something like that as well. Know your triggers. If your trigger is watching the news, watch only at certain times or limited amounts of the news. If your trigger is possibly seeing a family member who maybe you don't get along with, prepare yourself before that meeting so that you're not, even if you are triggered in that moment, you'll be prepared for it and you'll be better able to handle it. Also, you can use meditation and grounding techniques. And I know that meditation can sound a little bit intimidating, but I want you to keep in mind that meditation doesn't have to be an hour long of just no thoughts at all. Actually, that's not what meditation is at all. Meditation is basically quiet time for yourself. And studies have shown that just 5 to 10 minutes of meditation a day, like just that little amount, can be really helpful and significant for reducing stress. And when you sit down to meditate, don't worry about not having thoughts. That's not the point of it. Our minds naturally have thoughts. And even when you're in a deep meditation, thoughts can come and go. It happens all the time, and it also happens to the most avid meditators who've been doing this for years. So don't get mad at yourself for having those thoughts. Just let the thoughts come and go, and you can use different things to meditate. You can chant a mantra if you want. You can listen to a sound that may be pleasing to you, like the sound of water or a chant of some sort. You can even, sometimes what I do is I wake up pretty early in the morning and I'll just open my windows and listen to the sound of birds, because that's meditation to me. You can even pray. So meditation can look what you want it to look like. It just has to be 10 minutes a day. Just sit quietly, sit in a spot where you can focus on something. And if thoughts come, let them come, and then just let them go. Another thing you can do when you're feeling stressed in the moment is take a walk or move in some way. Basically, when we start to get stressed, that energy starts getting stuck in our body, right? So we want to physically move in order to let it out. So a walk is great. If you want to maybe run around the backyard with your kids, that's awesome. Dance around, do some jumping jacks, whatever it may be. You just want to move so that energy doesn't get stuck, and so that it starts moving out of you, and you're not getting as upset as you would if you're not moving during that stressful situation. You can also, of course, talk to someone who you trust. This can be a friend, a family member, a therapist, whomever it may be. And the reason talking about what you're feeling bothered about is good is because, again, it goes back to that energy. Talking releases that energy. It doesn't let it get stuck. You know, sometimes when you feel stressed, you feel like a burden on your shoulders, you feel contracted in your chest area. When you talk about it, just like when you move your body, it starts releasing. So you're not feeling as heavy and burdened. And then another thing that you can do is do a breathing technique. Breathing techniques are really great, and they've been scientifically proven now to reduce blood pressure, reduce stress, and they're really excellent for you. And if you're open to it now, I would love to do a breathing technique with you all. And this one in particular is called box breathing. And this breathing technique is actually used by Navy SEALs and police officers and even doctors and nurses, because like I said, it's been scientifically proven to reduce stress and anxiety. So when we do this, I'm just looking at my notes here to make sure I don't miss anything. I just want to tell you some more benefits of box breathing. Actually, like I mentioned, it reduces stress levels, reduces blood pressure and your heart rate, and it brings the mind and body into balance, and it improves concentration and focus. So even if you're, let's say, going into a meeting, if you feel kind of frazzled, if you've had a busy day, even doing this technique will help you focus a little bit more for that meeting or whatever you have going on. And if you're someone who has any sort of chronic pain, this technique is also used to decrease chronic pain. So whatever that pain may be, if you do this technique consistently, it has actually been scientifically proven to decrease that sensation of pain that you may be feeling. So with box breathing, what we do is we breathe in, we hold our breath, we breathe out and hold our breath again for the same amount of counts each time. So today we're gonna do a 3-second box breath together. And what that means is we're gonna breathe in for 3 seconds, hold for 3 seconds, breathe out for 3 seconds, and then again, hold for 3 seconds. And before we begin this, 2 things. First, while you're doing the breathing technique, if you feel even the slightest bit of discomfort, if you feel lightheaded, if you feel anything that is just uncomfortable, please stop doing it and let your breathing go back to normal, let your heart rate go back to normal, and just sit quietly for a minute or 2. Sometimes if you're not used to doing breathing techniques, they can be a little bit difficult and challenging because our lungs may not be used to doing those sorts of techniques. So again, if you feel discomfort at all, please do stop doing the technique for the time being. I'm going to actually count you through this exercise. So you can sort of allocate your breath. This is how it's going to go. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna count you. So it's gonna be in, 2, 3, so that at that time you're inhaling through your nose. So in, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, at that time you're holding your breath. And then out, exhale through your mouth, pull out, 2, 3, and then hold 2, 3 again. So that's the sequence of it. Before we begin, if you can just actually close your eyes for a minute. Actually, it would be better if you close your eyes throughout this breathing technique, but close your eyes and scan your body for me. Notice any sensations you may be feeling, any area where you may have tension, any tiredness, anything like that. And the reason I'm asking you to do this is because I want you to notice how you're feeling right now and how you feel at the end of this exercise. That will literally take maybe 2 minutes. This is not an exercise that takes very long. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because I want you to know that you can very easily manage stress by just taking a couple of minutes out of the day and doing these sorts of techniques. Okay, so whenever you're ready, let's everyone please just keep your eyes closed if that's comfortable to you, and take 3 deep breaths in and out. And after you're done with those 3 breaths, we'll start the actual technique. And now let's begin. So breathe in, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, out, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, in, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, out, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, in, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, out, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, in, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, out, 2, 3, in, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, out, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, in, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, out, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, in, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, out, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, in, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, out, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, in, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, out, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, in, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, out, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3. Now just let your breath go back to normal. You can keep your eyes closed until you're ready to open them. And does anyone want to share if you felt any different before starting the exercise and now that we're done with that one?
I definitely feel calmer. I feel that it was neat to just focus, but what I was doing was listening to your voice. So if I do this exercise at home by myself, where is my mind? Like, are you trying to just clear it and instead of listening to you count, listen to myself count? Like, what are you doing there?
Yep, exactly. You listen to your self count because you will need to use that count to do your inhales, your holding, and your exhales, and the hold again. And then another thing you can do is actually visualize a box while you're taking your breaths. So this is called box breathing because everything is, all of the counts are identical. So sometimes when I'm doing this, I will literally picture in a vertical line and then hold horizontal line, then a vertical line, and then exhale horizontal, and then up again for my next hold. So I'm literally visualizing myself creating a box with my breath. Does that make sense?
It does. I think you have such a soothing voice. It really helps to have such a soothing voice.
Thank you.
My voice isn't as soothing.
You can even put some, if you have some relaxing music or the sound of water. Sometimes I have Alexa play, I think, wind chimes. I think she's got a thing called wind chimes. And I just do the technique with that going on in the background. I'll still count. You have to count to make sure that you're going according to the breath and the technique, but just having something in the background sometimes helps as well.
So do you find that you do this a certain number of times a day to make equilibrium and stay calm throughout the day? Or is it just like, oh my gosh, I'm stressed, I got to take 2 minutes, I do it. Next time you get stressed, oh my gosh, I'm stressed, I got to do it. Like,
That's a great question. Yeah, great question. So do this whenever it feels good to you. I actually do both. I do various breathing techniques. So typically when I wake up in the morning, I will do this one or another one called the 4-7-8 breathing technique, which we're going to actually do together if you join me for the next session after this one, when we talk about sleep, because that's a great one to put you to sleep. But I'll go back and forth between doing both of those techniques, whatever I kind of feel like doing that day. And I'll do it in the morning, but also just like you said, if I'm stressed about something and something is happening or I'm triggered with something, I will make myself sit down and do 10 rounds of that box breathing technique. And those 10 rounds, like literally takes the amount of time that we just did it, because that was 10 rounds. So what did that take? A minute and a half, something like that. So the best part of this is that you don't need a lot of time to do it. But like you said, you can do it anytime you want to. You can make a consistent practice of it when you wake up in the morning, before going to the bed, whatever just feels good to you. Good. Should we move on now to the next fun thing? So the other thing I wanted to show you guys today is a head and neck lymph massage. And oh, where's my slide? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to put up the box breathing slide, but here it is. It's everything we talked about, So the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is a system in our body, and its responsibility is to remove toxins and germs and things like yucky COVID out of our system and keep our body from getting sick, basically. So the lymph system actually exists right below our skin. So it's a great way to, if we massage our lymph system, it's a great way to remove toxins, to get the system going, and it also is very, very relaxing. So what can happen sometimes if our lymph systems are sluggish or not working as well as they should, sometimes toxins start to build up in our systems, and that is a stressor on the body. And again, going back to something I said earlier, sometimes you may just wake up and you just may feel off. You know, you may feel foggy headed, or you may feel just stressed in general, but you don't really know why. Nothing happened to make you feel that way. One of the reasons that can happen is because maybe your body's not eliminating toxins as well as it should be. So this is a great way to remove those toxins, feel more clear-headed. This technique reduces stress and anxiety, of course. It calms the mind and body, and it takes you out of fight and flight mode, which we talked about earlier, that it's really important to be out of that mode. It increases focus, and it removes buildup that sometimes occurs within our systems. So today, of course, because we have limited time, we're going to go through this technique rather quickly. But when you're on your own, I would suggest doing this maybe 3 to 4 times a week. It shouldn't take you more than 10 or 15 minutes. You can do it in the morning when you wake up, or anytime during the day, really. But whenever feels good to you, I typically do it in the morning, because sometimes when I wake up, you know, I feel that fogginess and I just want to get going and feel clarity. So this really helps with that. So once again, while you're doing this, if you feel any discomfort at all, please just stop doing it and just, you know, sit for a couple of minutes, let your body go back to normal. And what we're going to do is we are going to focus on, let me know for some reason if you can't see this properly. Actually, Sandy, I'm wondering if I should just close my share screen for a minute and make myself big, or?
Sure.
Okay. So this area right here, you know, your clavicle bone, right above your clavicle bone, if you just touch, there's these little, like a groove, right? There's like an area over here. That's where one of the areas, your lymph system, detoxes and the fluids come out from that area. So we're going to be working with this area today, as well as in front of and behind our ears. That's the other area. So everything from our head detoxes and goes into our clavicle area. And from our face and from our scalp, it goes behind and in front of our ears. So those are the 2 areas we're going to be working with. When we do this, you want to use a very, very light touch. And if you don't use a light touch, basically what's happening is that you're massaging your muscles, and we don't want that. We want to massage just the lymph system that is literally right underneath our skin. So a very light touch. Using the pads of your fingertips, we're going to take your fingers, and you're just going to move the skin very slightly down to that area in your clavicle area, right above that bone. So basically what you're doing is taking your lymph fluid and you're encouraging it to drain into the clavicle area. Just little motions from your fingertips. You can do it all over your neck, the side of your neck, the front of your neck. We will do the back of our necks as well, but we'll do that last. So on your own, you probably want to do this for maybe 10 or 15 rounds. And each time you come down to your clavicle area, that's considered 1 round. While you're doing this, you may feel that you need to swallow, and that's great because that's actually the fluid that's starting to move and start moving into the clavicle area to be detoxed and to be drained. Then the next area we go to is going to be our face. And the face, like I mentioned, drains behind and in front of the ears. So you're going to make this funky position with your fingers. And just put your fingers behind and above, in front of your ears. And just pull down again into the clavicle area using a very light touch. Do that a few times, and then we'll go to our face and move the fluid into the ear area to drain. So start off at your chin and using very light touches, just like you're tapping almost and moving the fluid back towards your ear. And you can just go up your face doing that. I would do each area maybe 4 or 5 times. This is a great thing to do if you have sinusitis, or if you're someone who wakes up and has like a lot of just, you know, sinus issues or fogginess. Also, if you have under eye circles, this is really great to eliminate puffiness and under eye circles. While we're doing this, let's just take a minute to make this hand gesture again and go behind and in front of the ears and just bring that fluid that we just moved down into our clavicle area so it drains. Again, you may need to swallow, and that's perfectly normal. You can also take a few deep breaths. Breathing deeply is also very detoxing and great for the lymphatic system. And then you can go above your eyebrows, your forehead, just pushing everything to your ears. You can move on to your scalp. Now, when we go to our scalp, it's almost like a little tapping motion. And you're moving the fluid back to the nape of your neck this time. So everything is going back. It might be even nice to use your nails a little bit here because we have hair, so sometimes it's hard to touch like the scalp skin. So use your nails, just gently bringing the fluid back to the nape of the neck. I hope this feels really nice to you guys because it feels really nice to me and it's making me a little sleepy. Just tap up here, right here on your head a little bit. Encourage things to move. And then just bring that fluid back to the nape of your neck. Now from the nape of your neck, you're going to take your fingers and pull that fluid down to your shoulders. So I know it's hard to see, but basically what I'm doing, what we were doing to the front of our necks earlier is what we're doing to the back. So you're just taking, let's say this is the nape of my neck, just bringing it down to the shoulders at the back of the neck right now.
I don't want to ruin the mood, but we're at 2 minutes to go.
Okay, we're almost done. So what we're going to do, thank you for that. We're going to take that fluid now from the back of our necks and the top of our shoulders and bring it to the front into our clavicle area, and that's where that is going to drain. So everything from our head, our scalp, is going to go back right into the clavicle area and drain right there. And then, because we're limited on time, take 3 deep breaths. Sometimes it feels nice to make a sound when you're breathing out. So take a deep breath in and just sigh. So really quickly, because we have, I think, probably 30 seconds left. How did that feel for everyone? Any feedback?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Who knew that it could be so simple?
Yeah.
Natasha, I'm angry at you.
So I never
Why?
taught you.
Natasha and I worked together for years. Why weren't we conducting these in our team meetings? It would have been perfect.
It would have been perfect. Instead of cookies and ice cream and chips, sometimes we could have been doing this.
This is fantastic. Really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was excellent. Does anyone have questions for Natasha?
I have a question. So you always hear about the tie-in between stress and weight gain and retention of, I guess, cortisol and stuff like that.
Mhm.
True or
Yes,
false?
absolutely true. Because when we're stressed, we're in that fight or flight mode, right? So our bodies are not working as efficiently as they could be working. So our metabolism becomes sluggish. Also, when we're stressed, we tend to eat more greasy and fatty foods because that's what we start craving because we want that comfort. So 100% true. Another great reason to manage stress.
Gotcha.
Well, thank you so much, Natasha. I don't know if everyone saw at the beginning, but you can connect with Natasha on Instagram at TashVibe13. And if you all want to head to the Central Perk Room, you can continue your conversation there, or feel free to go back to the main portal on Kiko and jump into any other sessions. So have
That's
a
great. Natasha,
day.
thanks. That was wonderful.
Thank you so much,
All
guys.
right.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.